This conference will now be recorded.
Hello and welcome to this teaching, Inner Source Teaching. And the teaching of today will be a teaching about alignment. Our work, our opening in this collaboration, this teachings has been much about the twin flames energies, the twin flames consciousness, and the possibilities that this brings in. But what I would like to open to this teaching and the next teachings is about the new era. What is the new era? And what is the new era all about? Why is the new era important? Why do it have any interest to us? So as the energy is open here and helps you to get aligned into the conscious awareness that the energy helps you with, you can open the questions within yourself. What is the new era? What is it with this new era thing? And let it open by itself as an inspiration, an idea. And then in this teaching, I will open to the perspective that this channel teachings can bring in and add in as a possibility for you to lean on the teaching and let it touch your consciousness, let it show you by your sensing if this makes any sense to you. How does the teaching make sense to you? And this is the way the New Era teachings works. They don't tell you how it is, they show you. They help you to open to your inner knowing about the issues, about the teachings. Take a couple of deep sighs. Put your awareness in your body and in your presence. As the energy begins to help you get into the alignment. And help you to open to your relationship to the new era. What does it contain? The new era. The new era is defined and met by a lot of teachers, a lot of channels, a lot of people. And you will meet it in many colors and many ways. And this is not only due to the difference between people and the meetings that the people have with reality. This is also due to the difference that comes by the difficult task in describing something that is only arriving at the same time as you are describing it with what has been. To be able to make this description, you need to open the words, the definitions into a perspective. The perspective that the words contain the past and the possibilities from the future. The energy in these teachings helps you to reach to this inner knowledge that words contains the past and the possibilities from the future. This means that words are open and still have a foundation in something real. By instance, the word house. 1,000 years ago, the word house meant the building that you are living in that opens for physical possibilities as a bakery, a stable. The word house has many meaning to it, but it was certain what the meaning is. When you see the word, you will know what to search for. When you see the house, you would know what to call it. In these times, house means a group with a mutual perspective, a mutual mission. It also means the physical buildings. It still has the same meaning to it as 1,000 years ago, but it also contains more. The house of something. Whenever you hear these words, you know it's not a physical house. So the word house is an example of how words contains the past and the possibilities from the future. Sigh on purpose as a choice. What opens in you by this example? What happens? Maybe you have the experience of getting confused, annoyed, or excited, or nothing. What happens when you take in this example? The new era opens to the consciousness that can contain this perspective and still stand strong, steady in reality, open to the possibilities from the future. Bring them in. So this is one small example of the description of the new era that also tells us why it's so difficult to describe the new era, because the new era is something that's just arriving. So the words and the containment of the words doesn't quite reach the description of the new era. And still we are trying. And we are trying because this is what's opening the words, the consciousness related to the words, to the future and the arrival of the new era. Energy helps you to open your new era consciousness as it is right now. These sighs, intentional sighs, helps your system to reach to the state that the energies help you to reach. The sigh is a movement that is natural for our consciousness, our body to use when we are shifting direction, intentional direction. So every people, every animal, many animals will use the sigh to release what they were about to and shift into something new. This is a natural reaction, systematic reaction that helps the intentional shift. So by using this with intention, we can help our system to shift. The deep breath is also opening to one of the hugest movements in our body, the lungs' capacities to expand and retract.
No.
Is mirroring the movement in your consciousness field. So when you are making the expansion and the extraction, subtraction, sorry for the language skills, but when you're opening the lungs with the expansion and then the subtraction, your consciousness field is doing the same thing, because the energy that helps you, the new era energy, is surrounding your energy field and brings in a support that is actually about opening to your consciousness in the next level before you reach it, and then mirror this into yourself. And when you mirror this into yourself, you will open the abilities that you will reach to anyway if you are aligned and walking forward in your life in the expansion of your consciousness. So the new era energies that we are using here is working this way. And this is a mirroring of the huge consciousness fields, the collective fields of consciousness that the twin flames energies, the twin flames fields is working in. This shift in the huge fields opens to create a collaboration in a mutual field that is aligned with the new era possibilities. And the energy that is used here is mirroring this future mutual field. So in the future, the field will hold for you the consciousness that you are walking into when you're walking your path. And by the support that's giving, it's easier to reach the aligned state. Does it make sense? Or am I losing you? Either way, if the words can't reach you, the energy will. Because this energy works in a level and a way, the new era way. And this means that it's not up to you to be able to reach. It's not up to your awareness to be able to do some certain things to receive the support and the energies. This is given to you in a natural way and in the most energetical, what could you call it? The most energetical, clever way that makes most sense in the energies. And when it makes most sense in the energies, your system will go with it, no matter what, because that's how our system works. Our system also always goes with the most clever energy, the energy that makes most sense to our system. But then how can it be that we can go in all these blockages, all these difficulties within the energy? This is due to our confusion. In this earth, the confusion is at its maximal pace. So the confusion is really huge. And you can see this by the examples of things that happens that makes no sense. The senseless era, you could call it, what we are awakening in. The senseless era is both not making sense, and it's also heavy in our possibilities to sense what's right and wrong, to sense ourselves, to sense the beauty, to sense the love. So in several ways of the words descriptions, the words containing, we are awakening in a senseless era, waking into the new era. And the new era makes sense and opens the senses, the sensing, into what makes sense. So the confusion is what makes our intentional consciousness to order our energies to be unclever, to be out of line with what makes sense. Does it make sense? Or is it swirling around, just adding in confusion? Different words help different people. So to some people, this makes a lot of sense. And to other people, this just opens the confusion. And it's important that it doesn't make the words or the speaker right or wrong. And it doesn't make you as a listener right or wrong if the word doesn't make sense. If the words confuse us, we might have a better way by listening to other words that doesn't confuse us. Or we could ask, why is this confusing me? How does this confuse me? How do? A couple of intentional sighs. And the energy helps you get aligned with your inner knowing of what the new era is to you. To pay much attention on the confusion is what supports your consciousness the most in these times. If you want to stay awake and stay at peace as well as you can, be in the collaboration with your powers, open senses, be able to make decisions that make sense as well as you can, acknowledging the confusion, recognizing the confusion. And often we need to make decisions even in the confusional states. Then we do this, but it makes a huge difference if we know it. So if you know, okay, I make this decision, but it's a quite confusional state. So I make the decision and make it as firm, as soft as possible to be able to still land the decision, but also rebuild it, rename it, reopen it as good as I can. And now we are slowly moving on, because as we were talking about the words, that the words are containing the past and the possibilities of the future. The same do the decisions. Your decisions contain the past and the possibilities from the future. If you make your decisions these ways, you will open to the collaboration with the opening of the new era in your consciousness and in your life. And it's difficult, so it's a good idea to begin the smallest areas that you can, so you don't get lost in the confusions. If we get lost in confusions, we will lean onto the past and make all our decisions from the past and what it brought us. And then we will dismiss the possibilities from the future. So being aware about the confusion and the level that we can make decisions in is related to the degree of confusion. I know this is kind of abstract, goes a bit deep, and the energy helps, but I hope it opens your alignment with the new era. It helps you to slowly be brought into this consciousness state, this void of knowing and not knowing at the same time. couple of intentional sighs. Helps you to get more aligned. Helps you to help your system to get the help from the field, the new era energy, the new era field that you could call the field from the future. And what is, if it has been difficult to contain the words until now, this might be completely off. But if the words until now have been really interesting and really, yeah, this makes so much sense, then the next might also be interesting. But either way, the energy still helps you the way that it helps you the best. And it's not in any way related to how you contain the words and the meaning to them. But what is special with the New Era consciousness is that it contains the past and it contains the possibilities from the future. It's contained right here in the now. But now we meet the consciousness and not the world. And in your consciousness, the relationship with the future is brought into your system, into the remembrance in all your cells, your DNA energy field. Your consciousness is having a remembrance field. And the future we're talking about here is the remembrance. And the remembrance is not containing the now or the future. It's only containing the past. That's how the old era remembrance system works. But the new era remembrance systems, when we get aligned with this, it opens the possibilities for the future to be updated by the now, and maybe even updated by the possibilities from the future. How can this be? It's according to your system's availability to update. And this is related to the degree of confusion. So the more confused, the harder the remembrance is bound. The lesser confusion, the more loose or more firm the remembrance is bound in your system. And this firm grip allows the system to update every remembrance that is carried in your system. A lot of people interested in this kind of talk has been working with timelines, with past lives, past traumas from earlier in life in different ways, and again meeting these unmature parts. So if you are that kind of person, you think, wow, what is the perspective of this? How could this change all the struggle with these past hard profound remembrance. Should we try it out? Because right now, you've been helped into this new era alignment. So let's go for a tryout. And you can take, if you have any story from the past, and it could be a good start to take a story that annoys you, that doesn't heartbreak you. The heartbreak stories takes a lot of time to update. We need to be really caring about the remembrance and ourselves in this matters. But if you can find something that annoys you from the past, something that can feel like a little bit of disgrace, if you have such a memory, you can bring it in as a remembrance. And what is the difference between a memory and a remembrance? Maybe it's the same. Maybe the word remembrance doesn't even really exist. And I'm struggling here opening new era words. I hope you bear over with me and can follow me anyway. But here we are differentiate. So the memory is the recall in your brain. It's kind of finding the picture of this. And the remembrance is going into the feeling, the being there. So the picture is a memory. And if you actually is brought back into being in this situation, it's a remembrance. So if this is not a word in real existence, I just created it. So if you find such a picture, a memory of something that it's a bit of disgrace, it annoys you, it's from the past, could you find such? In the beginning, you just find the picture, the memory. And then when we are ready together, we go into the picture and open the remembrance. So everybody, and it can be quite new. It doesn't mean to be from the past. It can be just a couple of hours ago. It can be weeks ago. Something that annoys you. And it could be a good idea that it's something related to something you have done yourself, because we could be just as annoyed or even more about something others doing. But it's a good idea that this has the perspective that it's related to something you have done, your choice, your way of behaving, or that matter. Okay. So the memory, we are ready to open the remembrance. So aligned, getting the picture. And you can even open the picture and see yourself walk through it, or you can let it sink in. That's what I'm doing. I let it sink in, and then it begins to open as a remembrance. So the sensation in the body, the feelings in different dimension open slowly. And just give it a little bit of time to arrive. It comes from the past and arrives here now, but it's carried in your here and now consciousness field. So the time frame is just because it's a bit back in your memory. So if we are using the word, it comes from the past, we can picture ourselves like, oh, it's all the years that goes by, it's have to travel. But this is not the real time. This is the time alignment in your memories. It seems like it arrived everywhere now. So what we do as a tryout is that now you're here, you're in this meeting, and now you, with your intention, choose to open your new era consciousness. And just see what happens. Open your new era consciousness. And this consciousness, the new era consciousness, is updating the remembrance. So what happens? You need to stay awake, be aware, the shift is pretty fast. So it should already have arrived if you have kept your consciousness awake and aware. It's sometimes difficult when we opens to memories and the remembrance. But if you keep it in the annoyed section in the beginning and you keep it in your perspective, this is something you're not annoyed about yourself. You keep the intense level, how intense it is, you keep it low. Because if you open it in a higher tension, you might be thrown off, losing your consciousness, fall asleep, having a lot of different kind of reactions. And it doesn't do any harm, but it doesn't give you the perspective. It doesn't give you the possibilities to acknowledge and begin your relation with the new era consciousness possibilities. Whoa. So we have one who is experiencing the difference. And I had a bit of experience myself. I took a memory from my childhood where I was so much into the fairy tale reality that I told stories that wasn't real. And whenever I thought back about it, when I remembered it as young grown up, I felt so disgraced. And I could easily reopen this. It's not so good. Embarrassing a lot. And then when I opened to the new era consciousness, it was completely lifted into seeing myself as the fragile child and how difficult it was, and that the memory of this shows me more than anything in a really quiet way how difficult it was to be so sensitive. And I also see what it brought to the other children, that it was actually often doing something good, even though it was odd. It made them think and awake a bit. It was a really different perspective for what I ever have met. So I hope that you also had an experience that if you have too much of a pressure right now in the now, so your lower vibrations is activated, it can be impossible to do this right now. It will then be able to try it out when you are in a more relaxed stage, more at peace. And this is also something I use to stay awake about what to take care of. So if it's not possible for me to reach a new era, consciousness and the possibilities, I really need to take care of reality. And sharing here, for me, it was like suddenly the memory was washed in light and love and benevolence. I hope I pronounce it the right way. I recognize the meaning of the word. Thank you so much. Yes, yes. And we need this, don't we? What will happen when we begin to wash the memories with light and love and benevolence? Our own and our mutual past, our together past. What can this bring in to the now and to the future? Maybe even light, love, and benevolence. Bear over with me if it's not pronounced the right way. I'm guessing. And I'm quite good at reaching the higher level of wisdom, but not so good at guessing. And this, the knowing about our possibilities and what am I good at, what am I not so good at, where can I go with the flow, where do I need to stay aware and awake. The new era consciousness helps us to be quiet, loving, caring about these boundaries and go for evolution, developing our possibilities to be stronger and better in any ways without pressure, with the power of what is the word that describes this? The power of new beginnings. The power of new beginnings. What happens in our lives by ourselves and in our mutual lives if we can open to see the boundaries of what we can and can't from the power of the new beginnings. This is what the new era is about. A couple of intentional sighs. The energy begins to land because we are in the end of the teaching. Does anything comes by? Any questions? Any things you want to share? And it's always a good idea to end where you begin, especially when you're working with this new era consciousness. So we began with this opening to the difficulties in finding the words to describe what's new with the old words, because the old words, the words we have, contains the past. And often we're not letting them containing the possibilities from the future. But when we are aware and if we are able and we're not too pushed and squeezed by reality, we have the possibilities to open the words and the decisions and get the help from a new era consciousness to release the confusion. And we have a sharing. That was lovely. I will use it for the unhappy memories. Thank you. Thank you so much for the sharings. It's so thrilling that this is happening right now, that we are here right now in these possibilities. Oh, what an adventure. Even though we are waking in this hard times, because when we lose the confusion, you see what's the result of the confusion, and this is really hard. So it's a hard time. It's difficult, but it's also so much of an adventure, and it's so interesting. And nobody knows where it will go. But all the seers that's aligned with the new era, they see this as the opening to the new way of being that brings in huge consciousness. And it's so difficult to recognize this when the confusion is released and you see the reality as it is. You think, wow, is this creature supposed to be wise and loving and caring? And is this place supposed to be at peace and united? How can this be? It can't be. But we need to remember that this is related to the confusion, to the past. That we are containing the possibilities for the future, and our decisions is creating it. So by this, I will close the teaching and thank you so much for the meeting. And in the ending, we have a question about miracles. And miracles here is seen as a lot of possibilities that meets each other in the perfect way, in a way we can't imagine. And a miracle is always possible, but we never know if it will be. So you can always try. And when you're trying, when you're doing your best, you are lifting your part. You're doing your part in creating the best possibilities. And that gives a kind of peace you could call soul peace. And the soul peace helps a lot in a lot of ways. So when you change what you can change, your soul peace will help you to stand your ground and what is. Thank you so much for sharing. See you in another teachings. And I hope if you like this, that you will share and come again. Bye bye.